And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Gee, I wonder what we're going to be talking about today. Not really a lot going on. Not really a lot going on around Washington, and not really a lot going on around the White House. Pretty much a dull day yesterday. In fact, you take a look at just people that worked at the White House, like Steve Bannon. He's really not up to much, is he? This guy. Oh, my. It's going to be a very entertaining show. We're going to take your phone calls, of course. Huge story coming out of Washington, D.C. If you have a life and you haven't heard about it, basically Steve Bannon and President Trump have broken up. And now President Trump's lawyers are threatening to sue Steve Bannon. We'll give you the details of that coming up. Joining us now, our friend Rachel Alexander from The Stream. Rachel, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
So what do you make of this bombshell out of Washington, D.C.?
Wow, I did not see that one coming. I thought those two were joined at the hips. All I can think of is, there's some sour grapes going on for some reason, and I think it has something to do with the fact that Bannon, was pushed out of the White House, and he's been pretty honest about the fact that he didn't like just being a staffer. He likes being the guy in charge, as he was at Breitbart. So I think there's a little bit of sour grapes going on, and I think it's too bad because I thought that they were kind of a powerful team together.
Well, all great runs come to an end, I suppose. For people that may have not caught this, what do you make of these allegations? And, Rachel, if you don't want to go over them, I'll for the listening audience, I can. But, I mean, what really jumped out for you?
Well, saying that there was treason going on by this meeting that took place between Donald Trump Jr. and Jared Kushner and this Russian lawyer. From every account I've read, that wasn't treason. Now, maybe Bannon's accusation was correct in that, I wouldn't have met with a bunch of Russians without an attorney being present and, my own attorney, just for look's sakes. But I think that was pretty wild. He went too far there. And then some of the other things he referred to Trump as, you probably got them there. I'm early in the morning. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was some kind of rude language, crude language.
Well, and the idea that if I was going to meet with the Russians, I'd contact the FBI, and I wouldn't be dumb enough to meet in Trump Tower. I'd meet at a Holiday Inn in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I was hoping that he'd say, Star, Idaho, but it's just crazy. So, Rachel, as someone who covers cultural and big issues, political issues for The Stream, you have to wonder, Bannon's not a dummy, the president's not a dummy, why he would let Michael Wolff conduct over 200 interviews in the White House. And by the way, now the White House has responded by saying you can't use your personal device in the West Wing when you're on the clock. You have to use a government-issued device, which is, again, kind of strange. Michael Wolff was allowed in. He talked to Bannon. Bannon's not a dummy. It's not like he, had a few at the Irish pub down the street and this was one night of venting. You have to wonder, what are these people thinking when, Michael Wolff, I'm sure, is a very successful author of the new title, Fire and Fury, is probably, thank you for cashing my golden ticket.
Yeah, I think the Trump administration was very naive about Michael Wolff. They thought that he was going to give them some, positive book. And, this is the part of the problem with Trump being brand new to politics. This is his first elected job he's had. Most of us who have lived and worked in politics, we would be deathly afraid to talk to anybody. Trump is much more open about that because he hasn't been burned numerous times in the past yet. This is all new for him. So I think that's what's going on there. And, while I don't know if they can actually get away with banning cell phones from the White House, it would help stem some of the problem.
Well, to me, it seems like this is nothing more than a coup, another coup attempt against the president. And you go to the New York Magazine, where they're describing how Donald Trump's hair is actually put together, that he uses just for men. I mean, this is really delving into the minutia here. And then, I don't know if, Rachel, if you caught the White House press conference yesterday, but poor Sarah Sanders, people are saying, well, is Donald Jr. A traitor? Is the president competent because of the remark to Kim Jong-un about he's got a bigger button? Does he know that he doesn't have a button? I mean, this is unscripted as a reality show as you can get.
Well, the media is completely, excuse me, unhinged. And I don't know if
hold
you
on,
saw it on
if you want to
on
get
Andy's show last
if you want to
night,
get a drink of water there or something.
No,
I mean,
sorry, I have acid reflux. It's just constant.
Well, I was going to say it's probably caused by this story.
Well, that's the thing. I believe I did get this from stress over stuff, but but anyways, no. Sean Hannity's show last night, he said that the media is gets off on just this disgusting preying upon Donald Trump's every move that he makes, and they make a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, I heard what he said about Kim Jong-un having a bigger button, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I mean, he might be a little more crude than some of us would at putting his thoughts into words, but there's nothing wrong with the vast majority of what he says.
I would agree with you. It's just amazing, and just the feeding frenzy yesterday, specifically on MSNBC and CNN. What do you make of this as a journalist, as someone who covers these issues? We've seen it one-sided where they're for someone. This makes the coverage of Bush almost seem objective.
Oh, I mean, we've heard how only 5% of this news media coverage of Trump is not negative. We've heard how they covered the white truck that was blocking them from seeing Trump playing golf more than they covered the Iranian protests going on, this massive revolution that might actually be starting. It's absolutely despicable. It's disgusting, and it's because most of the mainstream media is on the left. And if we had more of a balance in this country, it wouldn't be that bad. But it's frankly, you've got Fox News is the only news media outlet on there, which is, over the air, not counting the streaming ones, that's conservative.
Rachel Alexander joining us from the stream here at KIDO Talk Radio. So, I mean, where do you think we go from here?
Well, I think that, we need to push back as conservatives, and, I would love to have more conservative media news outlets out there to compete with the big guys. I just don't know how to do it without a lot of money.
Well, how to do anything with a lot of money. But back to this thing. Now you have the president. I guess they're going to sue Steve Bannon now. It's amazing because he violated the non-disclosure agreement. They didn't say that he was saying anything false. But when you work for the president, you sign a non-disclosure. This president, when he was a private citizen as well. So I go back to this, and I just marvel whether it was Bob Woodward beforehand or now Michael Wolff. Why in the world would you Michael Wolff, is he that charming of a guy, or do you think it was a vendetta? And I know I'm asking you to play Dr. Oz here, or Dr. Phil, but why in the world would you talk to these people?
Yeah, I mean, I look at people, and I think that a lot of people have Machiavellian motives, and, I mean, that's the only thing that really jumps out at me. This guy just played Mr. Charming, and he knew exactly what he was going to do, and he wanted to be the next Woodward and Bernstein, and so he didn't care who he was going to burn, and that's been my gun instinct about him.
Right, and then on the other hand, though, I mean, Steve Bannon's a big boy. He knew what he was doing.
He did, and I just think he's a little bit like Trump himself. He plays, fast and loose with his words, and so, when he said it was treasonous, maybe that was even taken out of context a bit. When he went off on Trump on various things, maybe that's just cherry-picking remarks that he said, and maybe some of the times he really was drinking. I mean, this guy is rough around the edges, and so I don't think that you can put too much behind some of his motives just because this is the way he talks all the time.
Indeed. Rachel, anything else? What's going on the stream that you want to share with us real quick? Actually, not real quick, but...
Check out my latest article on 12 wishes for 2018, and then I've got another article should be coming out today on Huma Abedin's fast and loose use of classified information over emails. Have
you seen that documentary? I think it was on Showtime about her at Wiener. It was called.
No.
Oh, you need to get that. I think I'm sure you can either get it on Netflix or Amazon or maybe even
YouTube.
Redbook. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe even YouTube, but It's one of the best political documentaries I've ever seen. I think it's called Wiener, and it really and it documents the last year of his, freedom, if you will, of his campaign, and when the new allegations broke. But it really focuses in on her. He's the topic, but seeing her reaction in real time as it happens. But if you Google Wiener documentary, you'll love it.
I will see that. Thank you, because they're just those two are meant for each other.
Well, maybe she can write him letters from the prison.
I think she could end up in prison with him herself.
Well, check that out on thestream.org. Rachel, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, bye-bye. All right. Heard Sean Hannity last night. Lars Larson talking about it last night. By the way, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. We'll get to this issue about, and Ray Amaya, I don't know if this fits with your brilliant use of music. I don't know if we have any Trump or Bannon, but, that whole song, I think, Why Can't We Be Friends, when we're thinking about this whole issue. So essentially, most of the world, and I, many years ago, I was involved in politics all the time, and maybe you were as well, and you would live this stuff. And then after a while, maybe it's the social media, maybe it's just the hyper ventilating of our society, maybe it's too much caffeine or cholesterol. Sometimes you just need a break from it. And the majority of the people in the world today, as we've covered on this program, they need a break from it. They need a break from the political stuff. And they might see something on the networks. We'll give you your review and commentary on the network coverage of this. But essentially what happened is this guy, Michael Wolff, a journalist who was close to Steve Bannon, got a bunch of interviews. And a lot of them were Steve Bannon. He called Donald Jr. and Jared Kushner's meeting treasonous and dangerous or something of that nature. He went on and about this, and we'll get to that. But if you work for someone, and even when you don't work for someone, you don't kiss and tell, right? Coming up next, your thoughts on this at 580-5436-580-KIDO. By the way, Steve Bannon's a great guy now from the mainstream press who hated him and called him names, and he was a white supremacist and all this. It is crazy what's going on. I want to hear what you have to say next. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:21. By the way, tomorrow, huge program tomorrow. We have Lars Larson joining us in the 7 o'clock hour. Lars Larson will join us. And coming up tomorrow after that, Congressman Labrador will be joining us. A lot going on here on KIDO Talk Radio. That is tomorrow. Today, we're talking about the story that will not stop Donald Trump, Steve Bannon. They need to, I think, go into an MMA cage or a steel cage match and just have it out. By the way, at the White House press briefing yesterday, Sarah Sanders was asked, did Donald Trump Jr. commit treason by meeting with a Russian lawyer during the 2016 campaign? The new book, Fire and Fury, suggests President Trump's former chief strategist thinks so. Here is Sarah Sanders responding to the tsunami of liberal propaganda yesterday.
I think that is a ridiculous accusation and one that I'm pretty sure we've addressed many times from here before. And if that's in reference to comments made by Mr. Bannon, I'd refer you back to the ones that he made previously on 60 Minutes, where he called the collusion with Russia about this president a total farce. So I think I would look back at that. If anybody's been inconsistent, it's been him. Certainly hasn't been the president or this administration.
Boy, she is tough. She is tough. Now, people said, well, Sarah, was the president furious when he heard these remarks? Nobody likes to be badmouthed, right? Well, how did President Trump respond?
I think furious, disgusted would probably certainly fit when you make such outrageous claims and completely false claims against the president, his administration, and his family.
Your calls, your reaction at 580-5436-580-KIDO. Let's go to David in Nampa with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, David.
Yes, good morning. You know, Donald Trump had one of his greatest triumphs, and he hasn't been even in an entire year. I mean, he defused Korea, and you're not even hearing about it because you have to decode the news. Look, Kim Jong-un is evil. He's not crazy, and he's not stupid. He has a few nukes. What would happen if he nukes Seoul? They will burn him from border to border to border with nuclear fire. They will destroy his little enclaves. Because if you've seen Korea, and before they took it down and made it secret, they have these little, I don't want to say castles because they're bigger than that, and they have trains servicing them where the elite meet and they live and they have their paradises within that, that man-made hell that is Korea or North Korea, that disappears at night. And he is not stupid. If he does that, he knows he's over. If they don't kill him, they'll root him out and hang him. So what did he say just yesterday? I won't shoot first. Okay? I won't shoot first means there's not going to be a war because America won't shoot first. Game, set, match, Trump. But instead we're hearing about this nonsense about treason. Look, any one of these people would crawl through broken glass or sell their mothers to I don't know who to get dirt on a Republican. Okay? I don't know what statute. I still haven't heard what statute they violated. And treason? Good grief. Jane Fonda wasn't tried for treason, giving comfort to the enemy, misusing a passport, violating the Logan Act, a few other things I could mention. And and you're right, the almost 1984-like way in reverse that Steve Bannon went from being, Satan's toe jam to everybody's best friend.
David, thank you for the call. Traffic and weather together. Our time, and we roll on at KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Cindy in Caldwell. Cindy, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Thank you for being the voice of reason out there. And Kevin, it's as, quote, huge having you on the radio every day because I don't know, your station is just getting better and better. Yes, Lars Larson is a total addition. I've been listening to him. Now I don't even have a break at 6 o'clock because I want to hear what he has to say. But you all follow each other up so well, from Sean, from you in the morning. You, to me, are just like a team right out there. And I just got through reading Killing America by, Killing England. They're killing America. Isn't that interesting? I said that. That was a Freudian slip. The media is, and that's what they're out to do. So I don't really pay them, much mind. I would say the secular, divisive, liberal left, their brains are their wording is just atrocious. So I don't really go there. But I think it's wonderful that you're having Raul on. I saw him yesterday, our representative Labrador. He's doing great things. So I am very involved in politics. It doesn't surprise me in the least, this Steve Bannon thing. The wolf is at the door, so to speak, and I love that term that Chris Kyle's father used in the movie American Sniper, and he is a wolf. And you know what, Donald Trump, good for him. You know what, ethically, I think he was trying to do the right thing with the Ethics Committee about the election and backing away. I think he's not naive. I just think he tries to give even, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, trying to work with them, but what he doesn't realize is sometimes you need to draw a clear line in the sand because no matter what he will do, it is Trump's war. No matter what he will say, it's despicable. Even the use of the words that they use, they don't even use them correctly. And your other late night host at 9 o'clock that comes on, very interesting. You had a program trying to explain to people to define, they just throw out words like fascism last night. So I'm grateful. I think it's huge every day having you on the show. What a blessing that we can go to a spot that you can watch all the other slime in the cesspool and listen to their really insanity. And they're just so spiritually dead. I can't do it. So you're my filter for going over to the liberal TV talk shows and whatever is on. I follow through the news. I glean the news, but I sue him. I think that's what we have lawyers for. I think he should just let it go, give it to the lawyers, and good for that young woman that goes out there and knows what she wants to say, has it in her heart for this president, knows his agenda, and will just speak up to this avalanche. I don't call it Machiavellianism. They're just plain Lucifer right out there.
Cindy, thank you for the nice comments. We really appreciate you listening.
No, it is not nice. It is truth. I'm with Glenn Beck. I'm not going over the edge with everybody else. There is truth, and you people purport truth. So thank you, Glenn Beck, for that statement.
And we thank you for that statement. Take care, Cindy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So really, what is this all about? Okay, first of all, it was the Muslim ban, it was the Russians, then it was the sexism, then it was the Russians again, then I guess it's this, now it's Steve Bannon. By the way, Donald Trump Jr. tweeting about Steve Bannon, he unloads as well, basically saying this: Steve had the honor of working in the White House and serving the country. Unfortunately, he squandered that privilege and turned that opportunity into a nightmare of backstabbing, harassing, leaking, lying, and undermining the president. Steve is not a strategist, he's an opportunist. And then you have the people on Twitter going, your whole family is filled with opportunists, and your father is a garbage human who surrounds himself with garbage humans and sired garbage humans. You all can go down together, bye-bye, future convict. It is amazing the lack of objectivity, as Cindy just pointed out, in the liberal progressive, not only media, but the people, the followers of this. It is, and I've done it myself. You know, social media is an interesting phenomena. If you said, Kevin Miller, tomorrow you'd have to give up all the social media, I could do that. I could do that very easily. I don't know if a lot of people could. But the idea that, you post something and people just attack you viciously. And I've never attacked anybody personally, and I know you haven't. But it's just to hear that everybody's a tough guy. Everybody used to be a tough guy in their car or on the phone. Now everybody's a tough guy on the keyboard. The keyboard tough guys, right? The keyboard mafia. Anyway, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Much more on this. And people are, again, just assuming this. You have people saying, well, the president should be impeached. For what? Because Steve Bannon talked to a writer? Give me a break. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good.
Thank you, Glenn Beck. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. If you go to our website, KIDOTalkRadio.com, there's an interesting story there. Very brief story. Boise police are looking for your help to help apprehend a suspect that they believe is a thief that stole a cell phone. In fact, there's a kind of a blurred photo because it was taken at one of these stores. So the story goes, the guy was put his cell phone down. The store attendant went to go talk to somebody, deal with another customer, and then boom, the guy takes the cell phone allegedly. So if you can get a chance, go to KIDOTalkRadio.com. Check out that story. By the way, Boise Music Festival, some insider information. Tickets going on sale Monday. More details for you at KIDOTalkRadio.com. I know it's January, but it won't be long before we'll have those endless 17, 18-hour days and the big acts. In the past it's been LL Cool J, Sugar Ray, Vanilla Ice, all these people, Big Batty, Booty Daddy, all these guys that show up will be back at Expo Idaho at the fairgrounds. So if you want the skinny on getting some good seats, some good tickets at an affordable price, details available at KIDOTalkRadio.com. Not a lot really going on. Not a lot going on here at KIDO Talk Radio, except a little rift between Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. Now, I don't know. Maybe at one time in your life you were like that young lady that Sarah Jessica Parker played in the thing Sex and the City. Horrible show. Did not like it. Blah, blah, blah. I can equate the bad things that happened to the family to that very show. And on the other side of the line of scrimmage, maybe you're a man of the world. Maybe you dated a lot in high school and after high school and such. And I think what we're seeing here with Steve Bannon and Donald Trump is just a bad breakup. You ever have a bad breakup? I've had a lot of bad breakups with former employers, but one of my favorites was in Birmingham, Alabama, where they said, and I kid you not, Almost had to dump myself there. Almost had to press the dump button on that one. I kid you not that this was after doing several things for the community. The new boss comes in and says, whose wife was the HR person? No conflict of interest there. And what was it? They said, we're going to give you a 70% pay reduction. You're not allowed to talk to anyone. And we can fire you without any notice if you look at us the wrong way. And that were their words, because they wanted to move in a different direction. And then when I said, I'm going, or you can lose your job. And then I remember I said, well, I'm going to accept your termination. So when they tried to play it, they said, no, he wasn't fired, he quit. And then they badmouth you in the press. Well, he was fired because he was bad. This is just a bad breakup. Now, when you're in your 30s and maybe even some parts of your 40s, I get it. But I mean, Steve Bannon is a wealthy guy. Steve Bannon's a wealthy guy. Donald Trump, President Trump, is a wealthy guy. I just don't think you serve the cause by ripping the president. I don't think you serve the cause by talking to, with all due respect, a low-life liberal reporter. Now, I guess Michael Wolff's not a lib, but look, this is a great book for Michael Wolff. He's going to be a multimillionaire. But on the other hand, if you're a member of the administration, why would you do it? If you're wondering why all heck is breaking loose, here you go.
Lawyers for President Trump have sent a letter to former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon demanding he refrain from continuing to make disparaging comments against the president and his family. White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said the president was less than pleased when he read Bannon's comments that appear in a new book.
I think furious, disgusted would probably when you make such outrageous claims and completely false claims against the president, his administration, and his family.
Bannon on his radio show said that the president is a great man and he supports him day in and day out. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
There we have it at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I got to say this, that Bannon was doing the backpedal, but the damage has already been done. Bannon was doing, he's a great man, he's this, that, and the other. You don't sleep with the enemy. You don't sleep with the enemy and then go back to mama. Hank, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. My reaction, I heard you mention it on your show yesterday morning about it. I didn't get the full details until I got listening to Hannity in the afternoon. And then he played Bannon's comments, and my reaction was exactly the same as Trump's. Man is mad. He's got a dose of what they call Potomac fever. When you get up there in Washington, a lot of times people forget where they come from. They become enamored by the power, the prestige, and it has an effect of inflating your ego to the point where you get deranged. And I think that's what happened to Bannon. And also, I think there's another factor going on with Bannon. He gets ripped day in and day out by the media, probably even harder than Trump does. I mean, I saw a Newsweek cover come through the post office yesterday that showed Bannon like a thing, like the blob, busting out of Trump's head. It's this evil genius who controls Trump. And I think there's a tendency with certain Republicans to try to curry favor when they're under attack like that, the media, to curry favor because they can't handle the total negative barrage. And I think there's a factor in that going on in Bannon's head too. But a person who's focused on basically his ideology or is focused on basically going in a direction, can't let his ego, I mean, I think that in a sense that's where he's gotten deranged. If you're really centered on your cause or centered on your thing, it doesn't matter as much what they say or do about you. You don't do anything that hurts the cause. That comes first, and Bannon has forgotten exactly why he was in Washington or why he was there in the first place. And that's what I call Potomac, that's what's called Potomac fever.
Well, now we hear that Steve Bannon was going to run for president. We hear that Rebecca Mercer, the big money person that was behind Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, has pulled the plug on Steve Bannon. And I would have liked to have heard Sean's take on that. I can't remember what I was doing during the Sean show. Usually I catch it. But, you don't why in the world would you want to run for president? And this is the scary thing about it. You start, and Hank, I just want to say, back to your Potomac fever, I think the danger here is whether we're at any level in our lives, sometimes we believe our own hype, and that's the most dangerous.
I think that's exactly what happens, and that's part of Potomac fever too. You get a deranged sort of feeling of self-importance, and I think that's what's happening to Banyan. That's what Potomac fever is all about. You get there and you lose in a sense any kind of proportionality. It becomes all focused on yourself, and he needs to sit back and actually look for why he came there and why and when you focus like that, you make terrible, terrible mistakes. And I think this is what's happening to Banyan.
Right. Again, you start thinking it's about you and not the people. And here's the thing, Hank, you're a smart guy. You're probably the smartest or top 3 on this program, okay? If you're working at the White House, if you are a guy that invested in Seinfeld, if you're a guy that helped Andrew Breitbart, you know how the game is played. You don't say that to Michael Wolff unless you want to take a shot at the president. That's really what it is, isn't it?
Well, the name of the game is if you're working for the president, you first and foremost have to think like a team player. You're on the team. And there are certain things that you have to suppress certain things. So would you work to advance the cause by basically subordinating yourself to the team, and you work in it. If you can't agree with the president or work in the team, you need to get off the team. But you don't betray the team. You stick by them, and you're loyal. And in the game, the first part of it is loyalty to the team at all. And the fact of the matter is his derangement is, what did he stand to gain by attacking the president's son? What did he stand to gain? And again, the sickness is a total focus on himself. That's where the sickness is, and it's basically distorted his judgment. And that goes all the time in Washington. I could go back to, I'll give you a real quick historical example. It would be Hugh Fulton, who was Harry Truman's chief investigator when Truman was on the Senate committee investigating waste and fraud in World War II, which basically made Fulton, as soon as Truman became president, Fulton did behavior that was very, very similar to Banyan's. And Truman got rid of him very, very quickly. The same thing, because Fulton saw himself as this big Washington wheeler-dealer, and it totally, even though he was an effective investigator, it totally distorted his personality, and it's what Banyan is going through in this, as I see it.
Hank, thank you for the call.
Well, thank you.
All right, our great friend Hank joining us. Our phone number's 580-5436, 580-KIDO. If you're just waking up, here's our own Griff Jenkins from Fox News Radio, only on KIDO, breaking down what happened and what is happening in the fallout.
President Trump's attorney issuing that cease and desist letter to Bannon. It follows a anticipated book release where quotes have been leaked out, and it is highly disparaging to the president and his family, claiming, among other things, that the president's son and son-in-law committed, quote, treason and were, quote, unpatriotic in reference to the Trump Tower meeting with a group of Russians in 2016. The White House responding with a blistering statement saying when he was fired, he not only lost his job, he lost his mind.
Did Steve Bannon lose his mind? 580-5436. 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Ray Amaya, thank you very much. KIDO Talk Radio. So Steve Bannon has a show on the satellite. And it's funny because, and look, I'm just going to assume I kind of have an idea how the industry works. And there used to be several shows on the satellite. And the satellite all of a sudden a gentleman that I knew for a long time, Mike Church. He had been doing mornings on the satellite. Then it was replaced by the Breitbart. Now, whether Breitbart pays for it, which on the satellite you usually do unless your name is Sean Hannity or Glenn Beck or somebody of that nature or Lars Larson or what have you, Bannon decided last night to talk about Donald Trump, and here's what he had to say. Do we have that? Yes, we do. Here we go.
The President of the United States is a great man. You know, I support him day in and day out, whether going through the country, giving the Trump miracle speech or on the show or on the website.
You know, it's like you say something at a meeting. You ever do that? You ever do that where you just go, oh, I can't take it anymore, and you say something, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Well, you think that's what Steve Bannon's going through?
The President of the United States is a great man. You know, I support him day in and day out.
You know, you don't have to watch reruns of The West Wing or anything else to sit back and understand that you serve at the pleasure of the president. Now, people around here say, well, Kevin Miller, you've got this. No, I serve at the pleasure of our president, Kevin Godwin. That's what I say. You serve at the pleasure of the president. We all do, whatever our work is, unless you're self-employed, and then you work at the pleasure of your customers, right? But think about this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Here we have Steve Bannon walking back the comments. How in the world can you say the president's a great man? Apparently, he didn't like Ivanka. He didn't like Jared. And the sad part about this, brothers and sisters, the really sad part about this is tax reform is passed. Jobs are doing well. People are feeling optimistic, the best Christmas buying season ever. And yet this is what people are talking about.
The President of the United States is a great man. You know, I support him day in and day out, whether going through the country, giving the Trump miracle speech or on the show or on the website.
Again, bad call at the line of scrimmage. And all this does is gin up the opposition to try and take down the leader of the free world. That's really what this is about. I'll tell you about it next. First, KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:55. Time for traffic and weather. That was me, Ray. I just had the mic open on that one. Tom Muntz, TomMuntz.com. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You're so happy this morning. That's awesome.
I'm with you. Go ahead, Frisky Tom.
Well, I haven't done much research, so maybe I'm speaking out of the side of my face this morning. But I did want to bring it up just as a little, if nothing else, than to throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing, as if there aren't enough of them going on. I did a Google search and it came up that Bannon was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Do you know that to be true or not?
No, I don't know that to be true. I know he loves the nationalism and bringing America back, making America first and everything else.
Well, I haven't been able to confirm whether that's actually true or not, and it's really interesting with the deep state that's working to oust President Trump, even to the point of killing him. And so I'm trying to figure out how the conspiratorial elements are working to be able to make that happen. And one of the things that would make the perfect sense to me would be taking somebody that is controlled by the Council on Foreign Relations or one of the members of the Council on Foreign Relations, because of the fact that it's obvious that Trump is less of a globalist than any other president that we've had in any time. I mean,
yeah, but he got Trump elected. Trump can say what he wants. Steve Bannon got Donald Trump elected.
Yeah, but the question then is, what's the controlling entity then? What's controlling Bannon to make the decision that he's making to be able to get Trump out? So,
Tom, you ever had a bad breakup? Maybe feelings are hurt, and maybe Bannon got the boot. Maybe he doesn't like the kids and said, "We'll be seeing you."
Whether what I've said today is accurate or not, the one thing to consider is that I think there was a quote that I think FDR said, and it was that if anything that was supposed to happen, in anything that happens in politics happens on purpose. And the other thing to consider is what's going on in world affairs that is beyond the Trump administration. We have all this stuff dealing with North Korea and some of that other stuff. I mean, our American media has been great at getting us to deviate our focus on what's important. You know, we've got, you know, Christmas time, Congress passes bills that we have no idea that they pass, and they create some other issue for us to stare at, whether it's the Kardashians or Kim Jong-un.
Or Frisky Tom. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.